Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the weekly setups. So last week we analyzed over 20 pairs using the Fxalexg set and forget strategy, and we called some specific pairs that we're willing to take for the new week, right? So let us see how they played out, right? So let's get into the video. Also remember to subscribe to the channel, it's absolutely free, and let's get started. So the very first pair that we called last week, this was the video right here. We called NZDUSD and basically all these pairs before XAUUSD. So let us see how they all played out. I actually personally took only NZDUSD this week, and let us analyze it. So if you look on the daily time frame, you can see we have a clean area of interest, support and resistance area right here, right? And then we're under area of interest, so we're expecting price at the time we're under area of interest, right? So we're expecting a retracement back to area of interest to sell, right? As you can see on the daily time frame, we have a left head right shoulder, right? On the 4-hour time frame, we basically have another left head right shoulder. As you can see right here, we have this left head and right shoulder. Even coming closer, you can see there's a mini left head right shoulder. So this trade was a no-brainer trade. This orange line I drew was actually it's supposed to be the take profit target, right? Because it's the structure point on the daily time frame. So technically, how we took this trade was very simple. We just waited for price to come back to area of interest for us to sell, right? So this around here, price was still clearly bearish. So this was the lower high, this was the lower low. So as soon as price came back to around here, price was clearly bullish, right? So we are waiting for price to turn bearish for us to sell. So price actually shifted bearish down here. So at the retracement, we didn't really get any engulfing. So that's why we need to wait, right? We didn't get the entry signal, we need to wait, right? Until price actually shifted bullish again. So because of this, we had to wait for a clear shift before we take the trade. So this was technically how the trade was looking. Let's see. This was how the trade was looking at the time, right? We were waiting for a break below this box. So that's why I drew that box right here, as you can see. Because this was the higher high, this was the higher low. We needed a break below this low. That's why we drew this part right here. So we are waiting for price to break below, have a retracement, and give us an engulfing to sell, right? So as you can see, when price broke below, we are waiting for the retracement. At the retracement, we are looking for engulfing candle. So I took this trade on the 30 minutes time frame actually, right? I took this trade on the 30 minutes time frame, and if you look on the 30 minutes time frame, you can see that after the engulfing, I entered on the second candle after the engulfing because I want to be sure that this engulfing is going to close, right? So that's why I said I will be in for sales in 21 minutes, because if you look at the timer here, it's going to take 21 minutes for that engulfing to fully form. So I entered the trade. I told you guys I was personally in. I wanted to still see clean price action on the 1-hour time frame too. So going over to the 1-hour time frame, if you look, we had the engulfing. We had one engulfing here, we had another one here, and we had the third engulfing here. So basically price, I drew another area right here because basically price have rejected from this area some few times. I'll feel more confident when price broke below that area, right? So technically the trade was not really a 1:4 risk reward trade. The trade was actually a 1:2. It was just below this orange line right here, which is the final take profit. So I was hoping for price as it's getting here to just wake me to 1:2, right? So if you see, this was where my take profit target was at the time, right? So but the period of waiting for just this take profit to get hit, price just did something crazy, right, in the morning, and that's what gave us the 1:4 risk reward ratio trade. It's a very simple trade. It's a head and shoulders on the higher time frame, a break and retest on the lower time frame, engulfings to enter the trade, stop loss above the high. Of course, I told you guys the reason I always put this minor box right here is to avoid weak out, right? If you have not watched that video, please go watch that video. Weak outs are very prominent in the market now. Go watch that video, right? So that was how I caught one of the biggest trade this week. That is the trade that Fxalexg has been talking about throughout this week, right? But that's not the only pair we took this week. We actually that is the only pair I took this week. But that's not the only pair I analyzed last week, right? That I was looking for the week. So let us see what we have on other pairs. So the second pair was AUDCHF. So basically, what we're just looking for was for price to actually buy, right? We're looking for price to actually buy. So technically, at the time, the market was actually bearish on this time frame, right? But we're actually looking for a break and retest above here to buy, right? Simple. So here was what happened. If you look at this right here, this was a higher high, this was the higher low, right? So I was waiting for a retracement to enter, right, to enter the buys. But if you look at this market structure well, it actually closed below this low, making this market structure switch bearish, right? Because it was bearish, I actually explained this thing. I explained this thing that I'm saying right now. Let's see whether we can just find it. All right, so I said it was AUDCHF. The second pair, I should be in on this. Well, I was waiting for the engulfing, but the market shifted bearish, right? It closed below this previous low right here. So I had to wait for the shift of structure again and then an engulfing to enter on the 1 hour or the 30 minutes, right? Simple, right? So price now shifted bullish again, making this the higher higher and this the higher low. So at the retracement, where all we were simply looking for was an engulfing to enter, but price did not give us that engulfing and price just shifted bearish totally. And if you look at that, price just continued bearish all the way down here. So that was how we avoided this loss. This particular trade, don't mind it. I'm basically just trying to see how break and retest just simply works. You can look at this break, retest, engulfing, sell. Like it's like very clean setup, right? So that was the second pair for the week. We didn't actually take any of these trades. We only took NZDUSD. Third pair for the week for last week, by the way, right? Was very simple. I called it again. So let's see. Okay. NZD. Sorry. Okay, Euro AUD. Euro AUD. As you can see, this right here, this was a trade at the time, right? So this was the 30 minutes time frame. So we'll go over to the 30 minutes time frame and see how it played out, right? So price was bearish. All we needed was a break and a retest above this minor level right here to buy, right? So very simple. This is the same part on that screenshot right here. So we're just waiting for a break and retest above here to buy. So price broke, retested, and gave us the engulfing, and we bought. So price broke, retested, it gave us the engulfing, and we bought, put stop loss below the low, and this was a very clean setup, right? I know why I missed this setup is because I was paying too much attention on NZDUSD at the time, right? I was paying too much attention on NZD, and I'm sure I was already in on NZDUSD at the time. I was already in on that trade, so I wasn't really willing to add another risk, right? Third pair that we were looking to take this week was GBPNZD. Technically, what we're waiting for was for price to get back into this area of interest, right? We're waiting for price to get back to this area of interest and have a shift of structure for us to buy. But price did not really get back into the area of interest, and that is the only reason I did not take this trade. But what we're looking for on the market structure was for price to shift structure, right? As you can see, price was clearly bearish. This was the lower low, this was the lower high. Price shifted structure, have a retest and an engulfing. So if this price action that happened here actually happened down here, we would have actually would have taken this trade, right? So basically, this is just how the trade would have looked, right? So it was a very clean, and this was a 1:5 risk to reward trade, right? NZD, GBPNZD, Euro AUD, we covered that one. That was the 1:3. AUD card. Basically, we were waiting for a break and retest. Never happened. Never took any trade. USDJPY. Basically, what we're looking for was for a break like this and a retest back into this area for us to buy. Right. So as price got back to the area of interest, around here, right, we're waiting for a shift of structure and an engulfing to buy, right? So price basically just continued bearish, right? Price just basically continued bearish, and the shift of structure happened where, okay, this right here, I just realized that this right here actually had the shift of structure, because this right here was the lower low, this right here was the lower high, which means this candle right here, which is just a one candle, is a shift of structure. And this was the shift of structure for us to actually buy. But clearly you can see that price has already been trending downward. It's too risky to buy from one candle shift of structure. So technically you have to wait for an extra break out of this trend line for us to buy. Even the EMA is showing you that the price is actually still trending bearish, right? So technically a shift of structure is supposed to happen around here, then an engulf, then a retest, then an engulfing, but there's no engulfing right here until price. This is the engulfing right here. It's way too far. Where are you going to put your stop loss? You understand? That's why we didn't really take this trade. And the last pairs that we covered last week was AUDJPY and AUDUSD. So let me remove this tools, right? Let me show you how this is what we're looking for. This was the original game plan for the trade, right? So we were looking for, I think we're looking for a break and retest under this level right here to sell, right? Something just like this, break and retest under, but price closed above this high, making this market bullish, right? So what we simply look for is when price gets to area of interest, we look for a shift of structure and then an engulfing to enter. So I posted this trade at the time, right? Let's see right here. So as you can see, this is the pair right here, AUDJPY, right? So I didn't really enter this pair. Like I mentioned, I was already on NZDUSD, right? So this was the shift of structure and this was the retest for you to enter. So this was how the trade was supposed to look like, and your stop loss is supposed to be above here, and then target 1 is to 2, right? But at the time that I posted this trade right here, you can see that on the 30 minutes time frame, the trade has already basically left, right? But it hasn't gotten to take profit yet. But you can see that the price around this level was around 9.5854, right? So this was around this level right here, 9.89. What did I even say? 9.5. Let's see, 9.5854, 9.5. Let's just mark it. Let's just look for it. 854. So price was around this level at the time I posted it right here, right? And I was about to enter this trade, but look at what I told you guys, right? Both are still in progress. I didn't really take any of them because I was too focused on NZDUSD. But there's still potential entry for AUDJPY do, but I'm personally not willing to add extra risks. That's the only reason I was not entering this trade, right? Because I wasn't really ready to add any extra risks. So this was around where I posted the trade, and as you can see, if you are looking for a new trade, you can see that this is a break, the retest, and the engulfing. So this was how the next trade is supposed to be after that price has already left us, right? So your stop loss is not supposed to be up here, it's supposed to be here. So this was how the trade is supposed to be looking like. And as you can see that this trade actually had the potential of giving us 1:8, 1:4.7 risk to reward ratio. And the last pair for the week, AUDUSD, what we are looking for on this trade, trying to remember, is for price to sell. All right, so this was what we're looking for price to do. So price broke below and we are waiting for a retracement for us to sell, but price did not give us that retracement, so we didn't take this trade. That's pretty much the pairs that we took last week. And come back on Sunday, we are going to be covering all the 20 pairs again, and let's see what we have for this new week. That's pretty much it, guys.